Hi, folks. I'm Father Joe Grimaldi. You can call me Joe, and I'd like to welcome you to my podcast. But now, here's our host and friend, Ken Calvert.
Hi again, everybody. I'm Ken Calvert alongside Father Joe Grimaldi, and I would like to welcome you to the Father Joe Grimaldi Podcast. The Father Joe Podcast, proudly supported by our good friends at Houghton McInerney Star Lincoln 12 Mile Road and Telegraph in Southfield, the home of the Father Joe Grimaldi Star Treatment, serving southeastern Lower Michigan customers for 50 years. That's 3 generations of McInerney's following founder Houghton McInerney's mission to provide the customer with the best service possible, and that's why so many of Star's customers are on their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Star Lincoln luxury vehicle like me. I'm on Star Lincoln MKC number 4. Summer savings spectacular going on right now. And the only thing hotter than these temperatures are the savings. Check out the summer savings on the stunning 2020 Lincoln Aviator, the all-new Lincoln Nautilus, the Lincoln MKC, and the must-have Lincoln Navigator. They treasure your time and your business. Stop on by and say hi. Houghton McInerney Star Lincoln 12 Mile Road and Telegraph in Southfield, home of the Star Treatment. Well, we have another tough one we have to talk about today. I would give my kingdom to talk about anything else but this. And we all know where I'm going. We're going to the events that occurred over the weekend. We're talking about El Paso, Texas, and we're talking about Dayton, Ohio, and going back less than 10 days, Gilroy, California. There have been more mass shootings than days this year. There have been more mass shootings than days this year. Prior to Gilroy, California, El Paso, Texas, Dayton, Ohio, as of July 31st, 248 mass shootings have occurred in 2019 that fit the inclusion criteria for mass shootings. That averages out to be 1.2 shooting per day. In these horrific shootings prior to what just occurred in Gilroy and in El Paso and in Dayton, 979 people were shot. Of those, 246 have died. I think we can round it off now to easily say 1,000 were shot and 250 have died. It's sickening. But we got to talk about it. I believe it helps to talk about it, but I don't know where to begin, so that's why I turn to you. You're a Catholic, you're a parish priest, you're my friend, you have some years behind you. Where do you want to begin? I don't even want to go into that area of when is this going to stop? How do we make it stop? Why did it happen? How did it happen? The vitriol, the anger, the he said, she said, back and forth, it's your fault, people who are not well, mass shootings. We may be doing this again next week for all I know. But where are you right now with this?
I'm just baffled because I don't know what solutions we can even approach, okay? I just think that my job as a priest is to offer consolation, to offer methods of unification among the people, so they will stand together, because it seems to be obvious that in at least the shootings in California, the ones here in El Paso, has to do with racism, which is, how should I put it, it's not necessarily a mental illness, but there are people that are racist, and there are white supremacists, and these are the things that we have to deal with. Now, I know a lot of people like to put the blame on the president, and I'm going to say this much. I don't know enough because I don't have all the facts available to me. But what I do understand, what I can see anyway, is that his inability to express himself the way I think he wants to express himself. He would like to say that he is completely against all supremacists. And, you know, it's interesting that he says white and whatever else. Well, there isn't anything else, okay? It's the white supremacists that are causing a lot of the rhetoric that we hear, and the thing that makes bold a lot of people that are weak. And they say, well, now it's time for me to go out and get rid of some of these Hispanics or these immigrants that are causing a lot of problem and things of this sort. It gives them the energy. It makes them bold to do these types of things. Now, it's almost as if it's what he doesn't say that is more important than what he does say, okay? I've always maintained, I suspect he's done tremendous good for the country, but by the same token, very often by his speaking, he gets himself and the United States in trouble. Now, that's my own opinion, but I think the way he expresses himself is not always, I think, the way he would really like to express himself.
Well, I'm not so sure of that, personally. Look, it would be easy to just blame the president for the whole thing, and then we could just vote him out of office, and the problem would go away. I mean, I think that's how people are trying to look at it right now. In 15 months, the problem will be solved, it'll be voted out of office, and the shootings will go away. My question more at this point is, given what's happened in El Paso, starting with El Paso this past Saturday, 89% of that community is Hispanic.
Correct.
Last time I checked, most Hispanics are Catholic. They probably are relying on their religion now more than ever before.
Very much so. Well, I don't think there's an easy way to take this on. The Pope released a very beautiful, how shall I put it, blessing, offering of support, a very beautiful statement, trying to have people unite themselves. And another thing that I found interesting is that his first language is Spanish, and I think they might relate more to him than anything else. But the other thing I did notice, right now, the country is tearing apart, and the details of Trump's visit to both Ohio and El Paso. And I think what happens that overshadows what I think you're trying to say. What is the church doing for these people?
That's what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think a lot is being done, if you were there on the scene. A lot is being done with their bishops and their priests. I would be really shocked out of my mind if nothing was being done. But you don't hear about it because it is not newsworthy. What is newsworthy is the president going to cause trouble by going, or is he going to bring unification? And this seems to be the topic of the news today. And that certainly overshadows whether Father Rodriguez is speaking to his people, giving them shelter, giving them what they need, particularly because so many of them have lost loved ones, children, spouses, all of these. And so he must be gathering people together. So I suspect all of the bishops that are in that area are gathering, and they are having things for the people. They are providing food and support and whatever else they can for these people. However, that news is not exciting, unfortunately. What is exciting is the fact that the president is going to visit both areas, and is it going to cause more difficulties, or is it going to bring peace?
It's the news cycle that's going to continue, and none of it is going to be affirmative. Nothing is going to be positive, and that has me furious. It's purely meant to divide us. I have a real issue with the news directors in this country right now, on both sides. On those that say Fox should pull the plug, they're to blame. CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, CBS, I haven't seen one take it from a religious point of view. I haven't seen, and I've watched a lot, I haven't seen one bishop, one archbishop, one cardinal, one Catholic priest interviewed. Now, isn't it interesting?
And you know it's happening.
Of course it's happening. And you know that the churches are packed.
Yes.
And of course, they're showing the candles outside the Walmart where the shooting took place. I would like to have a look inside one of the churches, two of the churches, 3, 4, 5 of the churches throughout all of America, but specific to El Paso, and then, of course, all of Texas. I would like to see that. Knock, knock, knock. We're over here. We're preaching the good word. We're preaching the common sense. We're preaching right versus wrong, and I don't know if you remember, there's only 10 of them, and one of them is thou shalt not kill. So where are we on this, people? Well, the cameras are going to show the tweets. They're going to show the candidates. They're going to show the president. They're going to show both sides of the aisle. And those sides of the aisle are going to be pointing their finger at the other side of the aisle. You're the one stopping it. You're the one stopping it. No, you're the one stopping it. We're acting like a bunch of children right now. It's got to stop.
Well, I just want to add something to what you're saying, and not to take away about what's happening now, but racism has existed forever, and it still exists.
Totally.
We think we've gotten rid of it, but we haven't.
Of course not.
However, you see spots of light, bright light, where a Muslim and a Catholic can get together and talk and do things together for the benefit of the society. You see it where blacks and whites, Hispanics can get together and work towards the common good. You do see that effort being done in different parts of the country. Would it be done throughout the whole United States? That would be wonderful, but we don't see it all the time. But racism is alive and well, and it continues to grow. And it's because we don't understand other cultures, and therefore we don't want to be mixed up with them.
You know, I'm sorry, you just made me think of something. I was two things. Number one, and I'll get back to it in a second. I was hoping, I'm not so sure anymore, I was hoping we were aging out of that sort of discrimination, okay? Mm-hmm. I'm noticing now language that was used in the late 60s when we were demonstrating against the war. You know, make love, not war.
Sure.
Okay, what goes around comes around. What's old is new again. The old expression, love it or leave it, is popular again. How many times do we have to do this until we get it right? But what we did do then, I think, was that we at least invited religion to be a part of the discussion. It's not the smallest blip on the radar. And I've been watching, and I'm mad about it.
And I certainly am in agreement. It's hard for me to preach about racism, you know, where people don't believe that they're racist at all.
Yeah.
But it's needed everywhere because racism is alive and well. There's no question.
But it's so frustrating. We just sort of hit this wall where we're just going to let this continue. The protesters are lined up on both sides. We have the people protesting for, we have the people protesting against. And the police will do their best to keep them apart. Really? 22 dead in El Paso, Texas. 9 in Dayton, Ohio. Wonderful young people with the rest of their lives, or most of them. It sickens me, and it sickens everybody. But I'm just saying the part that I'm saying on a Catholic podcast between two friends right now is, hey, where's the religion in this discussion, folks? Did you forget we're over here? Did you forget we vote too? Why didn't the President of the United States get up on Sunday morning, given that El Paso and now Dayton, Ohio, had just occurred, and not go to church? I don't care if it's symbolic. Do something. Do something that no one can criticize or attack. You've got to have a shining moment. We all have to have a shining moment, don't we?
Oh, we certainly do, yeah.
It's really got me frustrated.
Well, I mean, they were even talking in Europe of avoiding travel to the United States.
And why wouldn't they be talking about it? So listen, if I were living in Europe and I had a son or a daughter that was about to travel to the United States, I don't know if I would lie awake at night, Father Joe Grimaldi, but I'd certainly be worried about it.
Sure.
Yeah, because, look, one happened at a Walmart. The other happened at a county fair, not far from where you said Mass, in Gilroy.
Gilroy, sure.
All right, you know the terrain, you know the area. You went to that fair.
I did.
Look how quickly we forgot about Gilroy and moved right on to El Paso.
Sure.
Okay?
And it's only a week
and
or
then,
so apart.
And 18 hours later, we're talking about 3 events in 10 days.
Yeah.
No, I'm just counting down the days until it happens again. And that's a horrible way to go through life. I don't want this to be a total downer, but what are we going to do about it?
Well, smarter people will have to come up with the solutions. I really don't know what the solution is. I wish I did, but it's such a complicated issue when you consider, is it hatred? Is it racism? Is it the president or isn't the president?
It's mental health. It's politics. It's
health,
politicians.
Right.
We didn't even talk about, but
gun control.
Gun control. And don't touch my gun. You and I can't win on this podcast.
No.
We can't win.
No.
We can't win. Somewhere, somehow, some way we've offended somebody, I suspect.
Oh, sure.
I'm saying pray for peace. Love one another. Take that energy and channel it for Alzheimer's, for cancer, you know.
If we could only do away with racism.
How can we not do away with racism? How can you not? Come on now, people. Love one another.
I always smiled that there's always these advertisements on the TV about the DNA, you know.
Yeah.
It's interesting to find out how much different kinds of blood all of us have. We just think we're purists, but we're not, okay? Yeah. And you have a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and maybe we would be horrified to know that we have some of the kind of blood that the people we hate have.
Well, it's therapeutic to talk about it from my point of view.
Sure.
And I'm sorry if I'm being selfish, because I'm not trying to take away your mic time. I'm just trying to participate in the conversation. But I'm asking you, have you ever seen a time like this before?
No.
Okay. Are you unsettled by it like I am?
Of course. The only thing I could say is this, that, and I know this sounds trite, but I don't mean to be trite. I think that if we could start in our own little neighborhoods, loving one another, despite the color of our skin, despite the different cultures, despite the various religions, coming together, working for peace together in a small way, maybe that might catch on and we could grow into that throughout the whole United States. I think it comes down to the whole idea that we have to stamp out racism to start with, and we have to build love. That's what religion is about. That's what Jesus wants, is that we love one another.
Why does God let this happen? Why does God allow this to happen?
God does not allow it to happen. We have free will, and He doesn't take away our free will. He can't. Otherwise, He wouldn't do what He does. And so basically, He gives us free will. We can accept responding positively to Him or negatively to Him. I mean, He doesn't tie us down that we have to do what He wants. What He wants is good for the world. And I think it's individuals who do not always comply with that. But basically, because we have free will, we can turn against them. There's no question. So I don't think you could blame God for this.
I don't think anyone's blaming God for this. I think they're saying, why does our God allow this to happen?
Yeah, it's a sense of exasperation, basically.
It is.
We don't know where else to turn. And you say, Lord, why is this happening?
And I think people probably say all the time, dear God, why?
We need to. We get it out.
Why is this happening?
Yes.
And I trust, dear God, that there's a reason for this test that you've put before us right now.
Yeah.
But by golly, by gosh, we are being tested right now. Can't we all just get along?
Easier said than done. I mean, when you consider the whole issue, it's a very complicated one. And if you were to go further and talk about gun control, that's another complicated issue.
You're going to divide the room beyond anything you can imagine.
There's all sorts of...
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. That, to me, is a very complicated issue as well. So the whole thing is very complicated. As I say, it's going to take finer minds than mine to offer any solutions.
Well, I wanted to talk about it. We needed to talk about it. I don't think we would have been responsible with the podcast if we didn't talk about it. What can we do about it? We can only do one thing, pray.
Yes.
Continue to pray, and as you said, reach out, love one another. If it starts just in the grocery store, in your neighborhood, get over yourself and reach out and be kind, will you?
It's a beginning.
It's a start. And this is our finish.
All right.
All right?
Thank you.
All right.
God bless you.
All right. Be well, everybody. We'll see you next time on the next Father Joe podcast.
I look forward to it. Take care. This is Father Joe Grimaldi, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the Father Joe podcast.
If you'd like, you can email us. It's frjoepodcast@gmail.com. That's frjoepodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook. Simply search Father Joe Grimaldi. And thanks for listening, everyone.